Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering unboxing. So today we're going to be looking at the Deck Builders Toolkit for Shadows over Innistrad. What used to happen with these Deck Builders Toolkits, if you remember, is except for the very first one they released, which was released at a sort of strange time of year, from after that, every Deck Builders Toolkit coincided with the release of the core set. And of course we now no longer have core sets. The last one that was released, and it is actually still legal in standard, would have been Magic Origins. But from this point going forward, my understanding is that they're going to release a Deck Builders Toolkit to coincide with the release of every large set. So in the current setup, where there are 2 sets per block, not as it was before 3 sets, but 2 sets per block. That means we're going to get a Deck Builders Toolkit, if Wizards stick to their original plan, of a toolkit every 6 months. So we're going to get one with coinciding with Shadows over Innistrad, and then one when we see the next large set, which will be September, October time, which again, that actually used to be the time when the core sets were released. So what we're looking for, and this is really why I bring this up, what we're looking for in this thing is what cards, dependent on what format you're playing in, will become unplayable or not be playable, not be legally playable in standard, if that's the format you're playing in. If you're playing in any other format apart from standard, unless the card is banned in that format, there shouldn't be anything in this set that you should be worried about rotating out, because all the other formats have a lot wider time frame in them. You know, if we're talking about modern, that goes back to the 8th edition, and nothing in theory drops off of that. The stuff just keeps adding, and then any of the eternal formats, exactly the same theory applies, but they just go back even further. So the only thing that would ever be affected is if by some chance there was anything in here which was or did become end up on a banned list for those formats. So it's going to be interesting what boosters we get in here. My hope is that Wizards haven't included anything that has just rotated out. That would be really bad. So we don't want anything in here from Khans of Tarkir or Fate Reforged, because those rotated out on April the 8th, 2016. I'm doing this video on the 24th of April 2016. A little bit delayed because I rather like the Fat Pack. I was away on holiday, so now I'm back. I'm sort of going through this stuff that I needed to unbox, and this is one of them. So in October, when we get another large set, we're going to see Dragons of Tarkir and Magic Origins rotating out. So the implication of that is if there's anything in this box from those sets, then we basically got under 6 months worth of playability in that particular format. If you're watching this and you're not interested in standard, then it doesn't make any difference basically. Okay. So, but it is important when you buy this to understand how the 2-block structure works, when stuff rotates out, what formats you want to be playing in. The basic contents of this doesn't appear to have changed in terms of its makeup. It's 125 semi-randomized cards, and when we open this I'm going to explain it then, because it's easier to see if these cards have been divided up like they used to be. 4 15-card booster packs from recent Magic the Gathering sets, 100 basic land cards. So in this one, I'm just checking against another list I got for an earlier one, and nothing seems to have changed so far. Deck Builder's Guide to Building the Best Magic Decks. So that one will probably tell us what archetypes you can expect to find, because this box does vary for some aspects of it, and again I'll explain exactly where and what changes. Magic Rules reference card and a full art reusable card storage box, which is essentially this. Okay, that's what this is in. There's no spin down counters in these like there is in a fat pack, and there's none of those annoying undersized card boxes that don't actually fit sleeved decks, so we don't have to put up with that. Although I suppose some people find them quite useful. So let's open this up and get a feel for what we've got. Just praying that they don't include any old boosters. So let's just see here. Okay, yeah. So it was pretty clear with the cellophane packet on, but just in case the shine from the light was a bit bad, we'll just look at that and just adjust that. Okay, so let's open this up. This is sort of this swirly mist effect that that they're using on Shadows over Innistrad. There's the sort of standard Magic the Gathering. There's this sort of logo that they use all over the place. Okay, so we've got a spacer in here because obviously the thing's not loaded. So this is interesting. This might be, they might have done what I'm hoping they're going to do, which is cool if they've done this. Okay, so that's interesting. Both interesting and good as far as my list is concerned, because everything in terms of the boosters is going to have a good degree of longevity on it. So we've got 2 packs from Shadows over Innistrad and 2 from Battle for Zendikar. So what they've done is they've included packs from the large sets. There's nothing in here in terms of these boosters from Oath of the Gatewatch. So that's an interesting way that they're going to do this. What is I'm going to be curious about, and maybe I'll have to open one of these boxes later on from a source where I know they would have had more stock. What they used to do is, because these came out every year, is the contents of this would change, so you would get a different set of boosters where they would sort of advance it on if it was later in the year. So maybe what I should do is buy one of these toolkits from a place where I know there's high turnover nearer the small set, and just see if they change anything. They change up anything, so you actually buy it sort of after the small set is released, but before the next toolkit. So I'll see if I can remember to do that, and maybe that could be a thing now with these, because these are always handy. The other way you can use these toolkits, and I've actually done it with some success, is for someone to buy one each of these, and then actually use the contents to either build some sort of super deck. So with this card pool and those packs, you're going to get a pretty interesting, 40 card deck if you just build as though you were building from a limited pool, or a 60 card deck. The other thing to do is you can do pack wars with 4 times with each of these against an opponent, providing both of you have got the same packs in them. And then after that, build out like a sealed, from effectively, which is a larger sealed pool here. Build something. So you don't just have to use this to necessarily build a deck with your other cards. You can actually use it as like a standalone product almost, to battle one against another. And that thing's been going on for a long time now. When I got it, added the twist of actually doing pack wars for each individual booster as well, to just get even more value out of this. So what I'm expecting to find, if it's like the other one, so this is going to contain maybe contain most of our land, and then another one of these will contain some of our land. So the way they normally do this is that there are some cards in here that don't change at all. It's interesting. Maybe you could see that. I think what this has got, there's yeah, actually this just reminded me. There's some what would they call it? Like these, I suppose you don't really call them sweetener packs, or they're promo packs of, I think they're 30 card decks, and I think I opened one several years ago actually, which normally sort of wizards just give out to stores to give out to free to get people into Magic. And sometimes, like, obviously these used to come through, the cards used to come through maybe in the core set, but as of I think last year or the year before, they started doing it with, there was one of each of the colours, or maybe a couple, had cards which were only available in the toolkit or in those sort of beginners 30 card decks, and it looks like this is where these are from. So I don't know what the status of this actually is. That's going to be interesting, because do these rotate out when the core set, because these are actually considered to be part of the core set. So yeah, that's something you'll need to check out on, is for these, and we'll see that I think there's 5 of them, one for each colour. Okay, so that pack is probably going to be my, will never change pack. So this basically will be the same in every one. But I'll open them and we'll actually see in a moment, rather than just mindlessly speculate, which I know is a popular thing in Magic, but we'll try and avoid doing it here. So let's just look at the land base here. Let me zoom in. Okay. So this is obviously going to be artwork, or should be artwork, from Shadows over Innistrad. You can see there's the logo. Generally with this is that they don't mess with the logos on these. These are cards from the set. It's not like the special products that they release, like the dual decks where they have a special logo for that product. This is actually just using the standard logos from the sets they come from. So there's going to be enough land in here to build decks. You normally find that what you have to do, if you're going to build like a full deck, is also utilize some of the fetch lands, if they're still doing that, you get in here. But again, I'm just unsure about how they're going to do that. You used to get like 4 of whatever was the current standard legal fetch land, like the common rarity fetch land. Anyway, I'm going to stop going through this in a moment, because I think we're going to hit the cycle. So you can see basically in the set there is 3 of each type of the artwork. So you're getting all of the artwork from each of the colours of basic land. There we go. So I'm not going to go all the way through that. So what we're going to find is in one of these other packs, we're going to find the rest of these. Crumbling Vestige. That's a rare. Interesting. Let's open this pack, see what we got in here. I think this pack is going to contain what I would call think of a best way to describe this. It's sort of colour staples, if this is what I think it is. Yeah, so what they'll do is, for each of the colours, and we'll look at this properly, they have, I suppose, what they would consider to be, I don't know if the word's classic is the right word, but yeah, they sort of typify what to expect in that colour. Now, this particular part of the toolkit doesn't change, regardless of how many you open. This is never gonna alter. So we start off with these ones. So Aegis Angel, Sphinx of Magosai, Nightmare, Shivan Dragon, and Soul of the Harvest, which you'll notice are all rares. And like I said, they've only been doing this for the last couple of toolkits, where they've actually been including these rares in the sort of semi-random component. Before, the only way you could get hold of a rare is from one of the boosters. But again, all of these, you'll notice, have this sort of strange promo 16 logo on them, which would indicate their sort of special category of card. So I'm going to go through these because they're rares. So Soul of the Harvest, 4 and 2 green, creature elemental with trample. It's a 6/6. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Shivan Dragon. This is a classic from way back. It's 4 and 2 red for 5/5 creature dragon with flying. Has fire breathing on it, so for a single red, Shivan Dragon gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And of course, if you've got enough red mana to expend on that, you can boost that almost endlessly if you've got endless amounts of red mana. So you know that theme, that flavour, obviously signifies a fire breathing. Nightmare, the black rare in the semi-random element, is 5 and a black for a star creature nightmare horse. It's got flying, and Nightmare's power and toughness are each equal to the number of swamps you control. So obviously powerful in a mono black deck, or a deck that predominantly plays black and maybe splashes one other colour. Sphinx of Magosai, 3 and 3 blue. So I hope I've been saying, instead of saying 3 colours, if I have been saying that, I've been saying 3 generic, because technically it's 3 generic mana and then 3 blue. It's a creature Sphinx. It's 6/6. It has flying, and for 2 and a blue, draw a card, then put a +1/+1 counter on Sphinx of Magosai. So now in each of the colours we have the following. So in white we've got, oh actually, did I miss, hang on, do we get more rares? Interesting. Maybe they've started doing that as well. So we'll see if we get a second rare. Oh no, that is sorry, I haven't done my white one yet. Right, okay, sorry, this is one of the 5 still. Aegis Angel, 4 generic white for 5/5 creature angel with flying. When Aegis Angel enters the battlefield, another target permanent gains indestructible for as long as you control Aegis Angel. So there we go. Sorry about that. So correctly, those are our 5 rares which are in the semi-random component. Now moving on to each of our colours. Again, this isn't going to change for different toolkits. So we've got a Syrah Angel in here, a Stasis Snare. So we're going to see here uncommons and commons. Marked by Honour, Angelic Gift, Cliffside Lookout, Gideon's Reproach, Inspired Charge, Core Sky Climber, Stern Constable, Unruly Mob. So what have we got here? I didn't actually know what I was going to say I was going to do. Looks like those are all from either the Battle for Zendikar blocks, there's an Oath of the Gatewatch there, or Shadows over Innistrad. It's these things here that I'm hesitating on, because I don't know where they fit in the grand scheme of rotation. So I'm going to have to look into this, and if anybody knows when I post this video, please comment. I'll probably comment myself on the video just to clarify that, because I hadn't even thought about these and the fact that these would be still included in the toolkit. So we've got an Air Servant here. Pour over the pages, disperse, anticipate, dispel, negate, sweep away, Nibless of Dusk, Pieces of the Puzzle, Stitched Mangler. Moving on to black, we've got Sengir Vampire in here, Zulaport Cutthroat, Mind Rot. Actually, the other thing to bear in mind is this may not be an issue if these cards are reprinted anyway in later sets after this. So they're still legal if obviously there's a version of them in a later set. So that might be another thing that maybe they're going to do, is just print old core staples within a current sort of non-core set. Mind Rot, Walking Corpse, Bone Splinters, Vampire Envoy, Crow of Dark Tidings, Dead Weight, Macabre Waltz, Shambleback, Cone of Flame, Lightning Axe, Borderland Marauder, Brute Strength, Cinderhelion, Expedite, Ember Eye Wolf, Magmatic Chasm, Sangri Mage, Voldaran Duelist. They all seem like pretty solid cards at common and uncommon. Incremental Growth, Pack Guardian, Oakenform, Lyspring Druid, Oran Reef Invoker, Plummet, Lone Lava, Tajuro Pathwarden, Rabid Bite, Quilled Wolf. Now we're moving on to our colourless stuff. Chitinous Cloak, Bonesaw, Hedron Crawler, Explosive Apparatus, and there's an Evolving Wilds in here. So that makes me think that the next thing I should do is open the pack with the Crumbling Vestige in. So what we're getting here is, this looks like a follow-on with our common non-basic lands, but we'll see. Yeah, I think I'm getting the order right here. Crumbling Vestige, and then we've got some uncommon non-basic lands here. We'll probably get a cycle here of two colours. So what I think I'm going to find in a moment is this is going to switch to the rest of the basic lands, but we'll see. Cinder Barrens, it's two of those. Meandering River, two of those. Submerged Boneyard, and all of these basically are tapped. Now they enter the battlefield tapped, and they tap for a colour combination. At the moment, the colour combination on the ones we've looked at so far would be allied colours there. And you can see here these are from Oath of the Gatewatch. Timber Gorge, Tranquil Expanse. Okay, so this is cool. So what we're doing here is we're getting the uncommon cards from Oath of the Gatewatch and Shadows over Innistrad, the basic the non-basic lands for colour fixing, and they're basically tap lands, so they're obviously not as good as the equivalent that you might normally find at, say, rare, but it's good for a toolkit. It's sort of adequate for a toolkit, and these are going to be the ones that fix for the enemy colours. So this is nice. In fact, you get just two for two colour fixing. So there's Forsaken, Sanctuary, Foul Orchard, Highland Lake, blue red one, Stone Quarry for the red white, and two Woodland Streams there. So that's going to help you for fix for two colour decks, and obviously you can use them in combinations for fixing for other combinations of colour. And you can see, as I thought, this is going to be the rest in this pack of your basic lands. So same stuff. They're all from Shadows over Innistrad in there. Okay, so we've now got our last sort of sealed pack before we move on to our boosters. So if this goes according to how previous ones went, then what we should see in here is our a sort of, I suppose this is where the semi-random bit comes in. So we get an element here that's randomized around a certain certain archetypes. So we're only going to see here 4 archetypes in this, and I suspect each one is going to have an unknown shores between it. I'm going to open up the actual leaflet that came with this, and we'll find out what the total number of archetypes you could ever see in this product. But we only get 4 out of that total number when you're opening a toolbox, and that particular selection of 4 varies, okay, based on the toolkit. So if I open a toolkit, you open a toolkit, what you get in this pack will vary slightly. We could have some archetypes the same, we could have some that are different, we could have completely different set of 4 archetypes, because normally the pool's quite large. It's normally around about 12, 13 different archetypes. So unknown shores, this is our sort of our common land fixing. It'll tap for colourless mana. You can see it's using the new symbol for colourless mana, and for 1 generic mana, so we can use any colour of mana to activate this other mana ability here. We can add 1 mana of any colour to our mana pool. Okay, so we have Serene Steward, Malakar Familiar, Zulaport Cutthroat, Allied Reinforcements, Inspired Charge, Stonehaven Medic, Nakana Assassin, Vampire Envoy, Dauntless Cathar, Grotesque Mutation, and then we're back to our second unknown shores. So as we look through at this, you'll notice that, what do we see? Well, we see that these are all either common or uncommon. Okay, we've got 4 uncommons there. There's a lot of allies here. You can see that. Human Cleric Ally, Human Rogue Ally, it's a core Cleric, an ally there, another ally, Human Soldier. So there's a bit of pump, like a combat trick here. And didn't I open was there a removal? Oh no, we got combat tricks going on. So that looks like some sort of white-black allies, black-white allies type archetype. So there's our second unknown shores. Roiling Waters, return up to 2 creature cards your opponent control to their owner's hands. We've got bounce here. Reckless Scholar, Gloom Widow, Pack Guardian, Giant Mantis, Livespring Druid, Ancient Crab, Sweep Away, and Chajura Pathwarden. Ghostly Wings, and we're back to the unknown shores. So our next 10 cards are in green-blue. We've got some control going on here. And token stuff as well. Okay, so we'll know more once we look at our archetype list exactly where this is placed, but there's some bounce going on here, some card draw, got some creatures with reach and flash, so that's in green and blue. Unknown shores, Reckless Bushwhacker, Pour Over the Pages, Rise from the Tides, Geist Blast, Anticipate, Cloud Manta, Slip Through Space, Expedite, Pyrehound, Sangry Mage, and The Next Unknown Shores. So this is red blue. In the current set, if you were just looking at archetypes in the current set, red blue would be a sort of spells matters type archetype. But we'll see what this is. This is a number of different things. Anyway, we'll see what red blue equates to. There's our Next Unknown Shores. So we've got our full complement, our playset of Unknown Shores. So this looks like black green. So we've got some sort of graveyard shenanigans going on here. Carrier Thrall, Vampiric Rites, Rot Shambler, Seed Guardian, Bone Splinters, Voracious Null, Plummet, Pulse of Marasa, Ghoul Caller's Accomplice, and Vines of the Recluse. Now the other thing you'll also notice is you're getting a lot of one-offs here. So if you were going to build a deck with just what's in here, you're going to get high variance on this. You know, if you start pulling these cards in and use some of the cards from the non-random part of the packs, like the greens and the blacks for our sort of core staples. You know, some of those there were a few two-ofs, but what if you're just using this to build your deck? You're going to get very high variance. Obviously, what Wizards want you to do with this is to go out and buy more product, so more copies of the cards and stuff like that. Anyway, let's look at this because there's something we didn't do at the very start, which maybe we should have done. Is have a look at this. I'm going to just pull the camera out a bit again so you can see this. Okay, so this is starting off from the ground up. This is basically explaining how to build a card. And the way they're doing this is they're working from the assumption that you're just working with this toolkit. So it's almost approaching it from a sealed pool perspective. So opening the booster packs, unwrap everything, just open everything, sort the cards by colour, and just see what key cards you've got and explore your options. Excuse me. Focus your deck, add your lands, and play and refine your deck. The 5 colours. So actually, this is curious. So there is no mention in here at all of archetypes. Okay. So maybe what I'll have to do is do a bit of research and see if I can post the overall archetypes that you might see in the comments section of this video. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I was expecting on previous ones they've actually listed what's available. What I think they're trying to show here is when you're using colour combinations, what things that you can expect to draw in. So this is approaching you know, archetypes from colour combinations. Okay, so you know, there's like 2 colour combinations here. So they're obviously presenting you know, I suppose, I don't know if there's a different approach to deck building, but one approach that you could take. But it is good to know what they're trying to bias those archetypes towards, because that's particularly useful, particularly if you sort of go out and buy this toolkit and then are looking maybe to get the toolkit first and then buy like an intro pack or another deck. I think that's quite helpful if you really know exactly what you've got and whether or not it's going to complement, say, another product that's already out there. Okay, so let's crack these open, see what we have. Okay. So Shadows over Innistrad plays to colour combinations in certain ways, and if you've been watching any of the coverage of the Shadows over Innistrad Pro Tour, which is on this weekend, and there's some quite good explanations in amongst the coverage about the two colour archetypes, both in allied and enemy colours. So I would thoroughly recommend watching that. That might have a lot of relevance to this. You might have to dig through the archive on Twitch. Ultimately what Wizards might do is separate that out on YouTube. Okay, so we've got pieces of the puzzle. Explosive Evil, Furtive Homunculus, Explosive Apparatus, Intrepid Provisioner, Warped Landscape, Sanguinary Mage, Fork in the Road, Shambleback, Runaway Carriage, and then our rare is Lightning. Oh no, so it's still uncommon, sorry. Lightning Axe, Ulrich's Kindred. Our rare is Cryptolith Rite. It's an enchantment for 1 and a green, and creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Our flip card, because this is a card with flip, is Convicted Killer, flipping into Branded Howler. We have a checklist card and a zombie token. So that flip card was at common. So if we're very lucky, we might get a mythic with 4 packs. Not the odds on in our favour. Dauntless Cathar, Vessel of Ephemera, Nagging Thoughts, Truth-Face Sensor, Seagraph Scab, Mudblad, Blood Mad Vampire, Stoic Builder, Shambleback, Uncaged Fury, Weirding Wood, so uncommons here, Manic Scribe, Magnifying Glass, and our rare is Nephilia Moondrakers, 5 and 2 blue for a 5/5 creature Drake with flying. When Nephilia Moondrakers enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying until end of turn. 4 and 2 blue activation for exile Nephilia Moondrake from your graveyard. Creatures you control gain flying until end of turn. Our flip card is an uncommon. It's Daring Sleuth, flipping into Bearer of Overwhelming Truths. We have a Mountain and a Clue card. So moving on to the later set, which is Battle for Zendikar. Oops. Okay. Anticipate was in that set. Mindraker, Cliffside Lookout, Outnumber, Grave Birthing, Eyeless Watcher, Eldrazi Devastator, Wavewing Elemental, Fertile Thicket, Gaia's Stalker, Arkham Stonewalker, so uncommons now, Slab Hammer, Royal Spout, and Prairie Stream. So we've got a nice white-blue dual land here. Prairie Stream into the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Mountain and an Elemental. So our final pack. This looks like this is all over the place actually, which is I suppose not a bad thing. I'm rather disappointed they didn't include a broader archetype description in the pack, but there you go. I'll try and track that down. Territorial Baloth, Clutch of Currents, Calistran Nightwatch, Swell of Growth, Shore Strike, Inspired Charge, Reckless Cohort, Felidar Cub, Sheer Drop, Valakut Invoker, Rising Miasma, Unified Front, so our uncommons, Tide Drifter, and our rare Serpentine Spike, 5 and 2 red, devoid, that has no colour. Serpentine Spike deals 2 damage to each to target creature, 3 damage to another target creature, and 4 damage to a third target creature. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. Planes and an advert card. So there we have our Deck Builder's Toolkit for Shadows over Innistrad. Okay. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.